Hello and welcome to another video, and today we want to talk about ways to build self-confidence. And if you're new to our channel, we want to welcome you and thank you for inviting us into your home.
So today we are really excited about this video, as in all videos, but this one we really wanted to encourage not only ourselves but other people in ways to build self-confidence. So we will be sharing about 6 easy things that you can do in your everyday life that you can build personal self-confidence. Let's go. So one of the things that I did was to look up a definition for self-confidence: a feeling of trust in one's abilities, qualities, and judgment. And I thought that was a really good definition of self-confidence. So we wanted to just share with you guys what we have personally done as individuals in order to build up our own personal self-confidence.
And one of the things that I've recognized is, for me, which is being my own standard. One of the things I recognized is that early on that I began to compare myself to others, and in that comparison they were always here and I was always here attempting or wanting to achieve a certain level, right? And I realized now, just looking back, that comparison always left me behind. That always left me in second place. And I think I brought that type of mentality into my relationship. And I recognized that it wasn't beneficial for me to continue comparing myself to those that were what I considered better than me. And the longer I did this, the longer I stayed in this place where I began to compare myself, I neglected my abilities, skills, and even my confidence.
And it's nothing wrong with admiring other people's qualities and seeing those good qualities that you admire and you want to see in yourself is a good thing. Even being in a relationship, I see qualities in you that I feel like I've adopted and become more the way that you are. Of course, not trying to be LaDale, but it's definitely qualities that I admire about you. And I wanted to, I like how he carries himself in this way. So, but that comparison thing really can put a damper on your own personal self-confidence, because it's like, wow, why can't I do it like that? Instead of finding the value that you bring to that quality that you're looking for. Moving on to number 2, I had to begin to recognize that I am not an inconvenience to those around me or the whole existence of the world. I'm not sure where that feeling for me had come from, to where I felt like I was inconveniencing people. And I don't know if you can relate or not, but even when I would drive and I'm looking for a parking space, I would want to reverse parking, but I'll pull in forward because I didn't want to be in the way. This feeling of being in the way, I don't know where it came from, but it's definitely been something that I've been dealing with, and recognizing personally that I'm not an inconvenience has really been helpful to me. So one of the things that I've started doing is reverse parking. So, and it's funny as it is, but when I would go to a parking lot where I'm about to park, I really wanted to reverse park. But I would feel nervous because, oh my God, other cars are behind me and I don't want to be in the way. People have things to do. But then I started to think, you know what? It's not my business what they have to do. It's not my concern where they have to be. So I started to reverse park. And when I began doing that, I would feel so nervous on the inside. I'm in my car and I'm worried about what other people are thinking, but I did it anyway. And this was my way of challenging myself to say, this is what I want to do. I don't owe anybody anything. I'm not in anybody's way. I'm not inconveniencing their day. So I'm going to reverse in this parking space. So the more I did it, the more I started feeling confident. Strangely, I started feeling more and more confident in myself, even when I would be in lines and things would happen where they need to check a price. I would let them check that price. I would wait, and I would say to myself, everybody behind me will be okay, because I came for this. I'm going to wait for this. If they need to check the price, then let them do their job. I'm not going to feel anxious. I'm not going to feel like I'm in people's way, because when it was my time to wait, I waited patiently, and now it's their time to wait, and they're going to give me that same value and that same consideration, and I had to acknowledge I am not an inconvenience to anybody. And that has really helped me to grow in my self-confidence.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, and the thought process is you're projecting what they may be thinking about you, and chances are you're going to give yourself the worst case scenario.
Exactly.
But I began to again reverse that and began to put myself in a place of importance. I had to value myself, and I have to posture up and recognize that I am valuable. I'm not an inconvenience to anyone, and that leads us to my number 2, which is number 3 on the whole list. Self-talk, and the story that we tell ourselves is very important and very beneficial. Early on, what I would do is I would leave the home. I would leave excuse me, I would leave, and then I would go have a self-talk, and I was good. I was clear, my mind was good, and I gave myself the self-worth and self-value that I needed to go back into the home and be fine. Okay? That self-talk was good for me, but it didn't necessarily build value for our relationship.
Okay.
And so what I had to recognize is that there was someone on the opposite end of the frustration, and just my self-talk didn't necessarily resolve this. And so I had to learn to open up. So coming in the house, I was feeling good, but she was still at a place. You're still at a place mad. That you're still upset, and rightly so, because that was left unresolved.
Yeah.
And my confidence expanded and grew when I began to open up and share.
Yeah.
Because it became a place that I can trust. I can trust you. I can trust myself to be open, and I can trust you with my with what I'm sharing. And then that helped to build confidence, because again, you're not coming from a guarded place. Right. You're becoming open and unveiling yourself or revealing yourself to the potential of your relationship. And when I did this, then I found that our bond strengthened, and from there, I'm willing to share. And I'm not one of those ones that walk away anymore.
Yeah, right.
I don't walk away. I stay in the ring and I fight it out, or we go ahead and say what we got to say, because now I can trust.
Yeah.
I can trust that, okay, this is what we got to do, because we got to resolve this. And so again, some of those old patterns I had to get rid of, and I had to stay in there and do what I need to do. And that today looks a lot different than it did years ago.
That's so true. That self-talk, it's definitely been beneficial in building that confidence.
Oh, yeah.
And when you feel that you can trust someone to share what you're going through or what's going on in your mind, that further builds your confidence, not only in yourself, but in that relationship. That other person can be a part in you growing in that self-confidence. And coming from our background, you hear the two becoming one. And for the longest time, my question would be like, well, which one? Like, who we gonna be? We gonna be LaDale or we gonna be Jacinda? Like, who gonna win that? But and understanding that that's not what it looks like. When you grow individually, your relationship is growing. You see things about yourself that you're like, okay, this is not going to add value to what we're trying to do here.
Right.
And when you start looking at yourself and you start being comfortable to say, look, this is the stuff that I'm bringing, this is the mess that I'm bringing, these are the things, the great things that I'm bringing, you start to grow confidently in who you are, and you start growing confidently in the value of this relationship, and you're participating in that success. So I don't think about which one we're going to become. We just become a new self. You know, that self-confident self is that new self, and it benefits this union here that we have, and we just become a new person. We're not being him, we're not being her, we're being us. And how that shapes, it becomes beautiful, and it's specific to LaDale and Jacinda. It doesn't look like Will and Jada. It doesn't look like my mom and my dad, or his mom and his dad. It looks like us. And when you build your individual self-confidence within your healthy relationship, man, it just takes your relationship to that next level consistently. And that takes us to number 4, but my number 2, appreciating that what you do is enough. Now, and also that no one owes me anything. This was big for me, and I think I learned this more as a mom. You know, as a mom, of course I learned it as a wife, but as a mom, I learned this lesson so much, and it really became liberating to me. In conjunction with that self-talk, recognizing that what I do, I have to appreciate what I do. The things that I do for my husband, the things that I do for my family, the things that I do for other people, I had to learn to value and appreciate it, and not expect other people to say, oh, Jacinda, I appreciate what you do. If you do, great. I'm thankful that you appreciate it. But more importantly, I had to get to that place for me that I was appreciating the things that I do. I remember when it was around Mother's Day, and our second daughter, very bold young lady, she always felt like she was an adult. I don't know why. But she was like, wow, we should get Daddy something for Father's Day. And I was like, well, hold up, Mother's Day is coming. It's not even, Mother's Day is the next holiday that's coming. What about me? And she was like, well, you don't really do anything. Daddy goes to work and he does everything. And I was like, excuse me, I do everything around here. How you think you eat? But at that moment, that really hurt my feelings. Like I was really hurt that she said that. And obviously with her being maybe, I think about 5, that was not her intention. She was not intending to hurt mommy's feelings. It was the innocence of selfish kids because they're self-centered. They only think about themselves. But that's where that came from. But I really reflected on that and thought about it like, wow, that really hurt my feelings. Like I gave up my career to be at home, to train up our children and to take care of our home, to build that life for us. And this little rat don't even appreciate it. But when I really thought about it, I'm like, you know what? She doesn't have to. That's not her job. I chose to become her mom, or to become a mom and to become a wife. That was my choice. And everything that I do for my family is because I love them. And I enjoy giving of myself in that way, and making sure they're enjoying the meals and enjoying a clean home and enjoying story time with me. So I had to recognize this is what I want. I want her in my life. I want my children. I want my husband. They don't owe me anything. So that was a big moment for me, because I didn't know it would hurt my feelings, and I couldn't hold it against her because she was 5 years old. She was a kid. She didn't know any better. But it helped me to really take an introspective look at why I do what I do. And I had to, am I loving others? Am I doing things for others out of condition for them to love me back and value me and, and appreciate what I do? And I had to check myself. I really had to check myself and say, you know what? I have to do what I do because I want to, and because it feels good to me. And I love to share my abilities with others in that way. And it really began to build me up in my confidence, where you can't hurt my feelings when you say, oh, that's nothing. That's fine. I don't need you to appreciate it. And that's the way I've learned to carry myself. And it has really built me up as a confident person, but not a self-centered person at the same time, because nobody owes me anything. And it feels good when I do things for others, and I genuinely do not expect anything in return. And at the same time, if I don't want to do it, I ain't doing it. And I don't feel bad telling people no. I have no problem telling you no if I can't do it, or if I don't want to. Yeah. I can have all the time in the world, and I just don't want to do it. So there.
And this leads me to my next point, which is progression. What progression meant for me is I didn't know certain things. I didn't know how to be a husband. I didn't know how to be a father. And in order to do so, I figured, let me put myself in position to do that. And how would I do that? Is to get around those fathers, and find out what it looks like. Get around husbands and find out, and if they were the same, put myself in that environment and learn what are the successes in your life. What were the mistakes that they made? What are some of the regrets that they experienced? And the challenges of not having strong communication, and what that looked like. And so what I would do is I would take the notes from others and work on myself. And that allowed me to grow. But not only just grow personally, it allowed me to share the information with my wife and ask questions, because that's key. I began to ask questions, what do you think about this? I want to do this. What's your thoughts? And then as she gave me the feedback, I can make adjustments. I can make my corrections, and I can move forward, still continuing the process of learning and growing, because again, I want to progress. Yeah. And in that progression, I found that I'm growing. I found that I'm having beneficial benefits, and it's to the degree that I'm now in a position that I can sit in front of a camera, which that in itself was foreign for me, to sit in front of a camera to just talk to people. Yeah. That was so intimidating for me. So for me to come from having to talk myself up to learning, and now being a man, a husband, and a father, that overflows into the lives of others.
And that brings me to number 6, which is my number 3, is determine your truth. I came to this realization for myself and I began to accept my perfection, accept that I am perfect. And that's not an easy thing to learn to say, but I've learned to accept my perfection and to determine what is my truth. Not based on, well, nobody's this or everybody's that, or we all this and we all that. But I had to come to a place for me personally of what is my truth about me. What is it that I want to say about me? What is it that, how do I want to present myself? Not for a show, for anybody, but based on what I'm comfortable and how I want to be. And acknowledging and owning my perfection has been one of those things that has helped me step up in my confidence with who I am. I began to really look at myself and say, what makes me not perfect? Why am I not perfect? When I given birth to every one of my children, the first thing that I said wasn't, oh, you are so not perfect. I didn't say that. I said, this child is perfect. This child is beautiful. Oh my God, I love this. Is a piece of me. Yeah. And this is a part of me. I didn't say they were not perfect. So I stopped saying that I'm not perfect. I stopped grouping myself in that foolishness that nobody's perfect. If you consider yourself imperfect, that is fine. I will not fight you on that. But you cannot prove to me that I'm not perfect based on the fact that I've made mistakes or bad decisions. So what? What have I done with those choices? What have I done with those mistakes? I take the truth from me that being a being that's considering themselves perfect is not stating that I don't make mistakes or I don't make bad choices. It's stating that I own and I take responsibility for the choices that I make and what I've done to others. I'm not shifting blame. I'm not saying lies to myself that I'm nothing. I can do nothing. I can have nothing. I can be nothing. I don't lie to myself like that anymore. I tell myself I'm great. I have access to all that this world has to offer. You know, I'm a great person. I'm a loving person. I'm a kind person. No one can tell me otherwise because I'm living this experience. When I got to a place of determining what was my truth for me, that was another piece of the puzzle for me in building me up confidently to carry myself with my head up, not pridefully. And if it appears pridefully, I won't adjust for anybody. I'm not adjusting myself so that I appear humble to you because to be accepted by others. I accept me. And like the definition says, a feeling of trust in one's abilities, qualities, and judgment. When I say judgment, it's not me judging you. It's not me, oh, they shouldn't do that. They shouldn't do this. No, it's me being able to make a right decision and rightly divide what is truth about anything, about me, and what really benefits me and what adds value to me and how I overflow in adding value to the lives of others. So that's number 6. That's my number 3, determining your truth. And regardless of what anyone has to say, I am perfect.
Thank you for allowing us to share these 6 ways that help to build confidence for us.
If you want to share in the comments some of the things that you personally have done to build some self-confidence that maybe we can take, because I steal your stuff. It was good. But we appreciate you guys once again. And like always, continue in your greatness.
Continue in your greatness.